So everybody, it is official. We are less than 1 week away from WWDC, which starts on June 9th, with Apple's famous yearly keynote, which will give us the new version of iOS, which will be iOS 26, which we spoke about last week. Apple is foregoing iOS 19, skipping a bunch of generations to match up with the year. So we're going to be getting iOS 26 and all the subsequent versions of those operating systems like iPadOS, macOS, and VisionOS. We'll also get that 26 moniker on there to, again, line everything up and keep it uniform. So in this video, we're going to talk about all things iOS 26 related, so you know what to expect, which phone is going to be compatible, what new features are coming, which phones are going to get what features, because again, with Apple Intelligence, there will be some differentiation. But without further ado, let's get into our final leaks and rumors of iOS 26. Let's get into it. So the first thing everybody's going to notice is going to be the major design overhaul, and I do think Apple's going to open up with that when it comes to iOS 26 and what they're going to show off first. Apple has already been teasing themselves with some Twitter posts and TikTok posts of what the invite looks like. You have the translucent rainbow, you have the translucent look of the iOS 26 logo, or just the iOS logo in general, to again foreshadow what it's going to look like moving forward. So again, this is going to be a major visual change. Functionally, it might not change too much functionally. We might be a little bit more efficient in how we see things, how we interact with different menus, how to go back multiple menus at the same time, but for the most part, there's going to be a visual change to kind of refresh the look, very similar to when we went from iOS 6 to iOS 7, from skeuomorphism to more of a flat minimalistic design. This is going to take that to another level, and if you used VisionOS in the past, it's going to be very, very familiar. And if you want to get a sneak peek as to what this is going to look like, look at the applications Apple has released over the last couple months, things like the Invites app, the Sports application, even some elements of the Apple TV application has this translucent design and menu kind of orientation to make it feel like it's already going to be futuristic, and all of that's going to be ported over to iOS and all the first native applications and all the app icons. So that's going to be the first big change, a major design overhaul. And even though it's not going to be super functionally different, the keys here are going to be that it's going to simplify the user experience, enhance all the navigation speeds, because if you can see sort of behind with some opacity, it'll be easier to find out what you need when you need it. And then lastly, unify the interfaces across iOS, iPadOS, and macOS, so it's all one consistent design, which I think is a foreshadow in 5 to 10 years that all these operating systems are just going to converge into one, and we're going to be picking which form factor we want, not which operating system we want. Leave a comment down below if you think the same thing. The next big change, or the next big update, is going to be Apple Intelligence 2.0. Depending on who you are and who you talk to and what your experience has been, Apple 1.0 was kind of a flop. Yes, they added the kind of low-hanging fruit when it comes to artificial intelligence and Apple Intelligence, where again, you can kind of format and edit your actual written text inside of, the Notes application. You can kind of summarize emails if you want to. They added things like Genmoji and Image Playground. Siri got a new visual look, not really much of a functional difference, but again, it does have that new rainbow outline, which, most people do like and prefer it, at least just visually. But when it comes to actual useful features and kind of helping out from an efficiency standpoint, there's a lot left to be desired with Apple Intelligence. I already definitely see the benefits of using different AIs to kind of help with your day-to-day tasks. So the moment Apple allows Apple Intelligence to reach into applications, to allow some cross-app actions, as well as some more contextual relevance when it comes to speech and language models, I do think Siri will get a lot smarter and a lot more useful. And if I'm able to maybe ask for an Uber directly from Siri without having to actually go into the Uber app and do anything aside from just say, okay, that's going to be extremely beneficial. And then being able to grab information from one application, move it to another, edit it, and then send it off as a message all on just how I talk to Siri, that will also be extremely beneficial. But those are all things that were promised and not delivered with the first version of Apple Intelligence. So let's see how Apple kind of turns this around with WWDC, iOS 26, and this new Apple Intelligence 2.0. And again, leave a comment down below if you guys are optimistic, you're gonna go wait and see, or if you just think Apple's already missed completely and they're kind of already behind the ball, which I'm hoping that doesn't end up happening. But, kudos to Apple. Normally when it comes to features, especially from a hardware standpoint, they usually wait 2, 3, 4, 5 years before implementing. I mean, think about it when it comes to Dynamic Island, when it comes to Face ID, USB-C, those are all things that came after the fact when other Android and other hardware manufacturers were already doing that. Apple just quote-unquote perfected it and made it more streamlined. So I mentioned earlier in the video that Apple did introduce new applications like the Invites application, they updated the Sports application, and they continue to do so, which are all relatively new applications into the Apple ecosystem. And that's going to continue with iOS 26. They're going to be creating a brand new Games application. So if you've ever used Game Center and you or maybe played an Apple Arcade game or just a regular game on your iPhone, you see a little drop down that usually comes down that says you're logged into Game Center, which again, some people like it, some people use it, others don't even know what it is really, but it's basically a leaderboard, a way to kind of interact with other people playing the same games. And I think Apple's going to be bringing all those features into one specific application to be able to manage all your friends, your dashboards, your leaderboards, all the games that you play, milestones, and just a fun way to track all the different games that you play, which will be a welcome addition, especially for me on the iPad. There's going to be some big enhancements to the Translate application with more languages, more Apple Intelligence built in there, and a little bit more of a better language model so it's more contextually relevant, and of course just more natural when it comes to speaking out loud with the Translate application. And also what I'm most excited for is going to be the health application. Apple continues to make strides as being the leader in health wearables with their Apple Watch. Hopefully they come out with a ring. I'm testing 2 different ones right now, so stay tuned for a video for that one. But they are going to be bringing more stuff to Apple Health Plus, including features like food logging, educational content, and more AI-powered coaching. For instance, I right now use ChatGPT as my AI coach. I literally, every single time I go on a run, I take a picture of my stats, import it to ChatGPT, make sure that it has a log of it, tells me what to do, how hard I worked, kind of like the training load feature that is already in the Apple Watch. But if we can bring that over to Apple Intelligence and have that just built into my iPhone, that would be an absolute game changer and something that I would welcome. And then the Messages app is going to get even more encrypted, especially when it comes to RCS messaging, so definitely stay tuned for that one, but there'll be an abundance of other things that will be added moving forward with iOS 26. And some other quality of life features that should be coming with iOS 26 in your iPhone is better eSIM transfer compatibility, especially if you're going from Android to iPhone. Right now that system is a little bit broken, but that's going to be a lot more streamlined and very easy to use if you are coming from Android to iOS. Now I'm sure Apple will make it very hard to go from iOS to Android and make it very inconvenient, but that remains yet to be seen. But just do note that eSIM compatibility is going to go, but just note that eSIM compatibility will expand and be a lot easier moving forward. Another big update that's coming that I actually made a video on recently is all about personal voice. Apple has already announced a bunch of improvements and new accessibility features coming with iOS 26, and personal voice is top on that list to get a much needed improvement. The way that it stands right now, personal voice is there to kind of help your phone learn how you speak. You kind of coach it in the way that you speak to be able to clone your voice and then use it to recite, whatever you need to be recited in your personal voice via the iPhone or via any other iOS, iPadOS, or macOS device. It still sounds a little bit robotic, but I'm sure with iOS 26, it'll get a major improvement and sound a lot more natural moving forward. I do recommend checking out that video. I'll leave a link down below for you guys to check out. And then one of the biggest ones for me, which I think could actually be coming, is going to be some sort of desktop class mode for both iOS and iPadOS. I think we're going to have a moment here where it's going to have a Samsung DeX-like experience where you plug your iPhone in because, again, we already have USB-C ports on here. This could be saved and only be used for the Pro model iPhones because it has faster USB-C speeds, but being able to plug your iPhone into a monitor, connecting a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, and having a Stage Manager-like or maybe macOS Lite-like experience is something that a lot of people would love to have because these phones are powerful enough to be able to run and be able to have an email machine, a web browsing machine, maybe even some light video editing I'm sure you could do because you can already video edit on these things with LumaFusion and CapCut. So bringing that over to a larger display without just having a mirrored iPhone could be something that a lot of people would like, including myself, and it would make for some great content. But those are all the major things to expect with iOS. I wanted to focus on iOS because that's where 90% of people are focused on, and most people are going to care about iOS and the new version of iOS 26 and all those features that are going to come with it. And in terms of compatibility, we will be able to get this new version of iOS 26 all the way down to the iPhone 11. So iPhone 11, 11 Pro, Pro Max, all the way to the iPhone SE, the second generation iPhone SE, we'll be getting this to a certain extent. When it comes to all the Apple Intelligence features, those will be reserved for the iPhone 16s of the world and newer, and then also the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. Remember, the iPhone 16 lineup was built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence, even though we got zero Apple Intelligence features that are actually useful. But let's see exactly how Apple ends up kind of spinning this as to what features which iPhones get. But just know, as a blanket statement, for the most part, we're pretty sure that from iPhone 11 and up, you will be updating some version of iOS 26. But do let me know in the comment down below what you think. Are you excited for iOS 26? What is your favorite feature? Give me one wishlist feature and one feature that you are probably pretty sure is coming that you're excited for. Like I said, my wishlist feature is going to be a pro level version of iPadOS, or maybe, like I said, some Samsung-like DeX experience for your iPhone, and then I'm just excited to see what this new UI is going to look like. Is it going to be functionally different? Is it just going to be a visual change? Is this Apple maybe distracting us from the fact that Apple didn't do much with Apple Intelligence and they want to give us something kind of shiny and new, so it feels like it's something new, but in reality, nothing much has changed? All things that remain yet to be seen, but that'll do for this video. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to watch more content like this one, click on one of these right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everybody.